How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Before I dive into anything relating to Doctor Sleep, I think it's natural that since, after all, this is a sequel to the 1980 version of The Shining, I feel like it's very natural that I just kind of give a small review on The Shining, just a few key points that I really loved about this film. So Stanley Kubrick crafted such a unique story that really hadn't been made before. In his adaptation from Stephen King's book, everything that we're supposed to be afraid of for us and for our characters is in plain sight. There isn't really like a safe spot in this movie for us to find comfort in and to find safety in. I think that is an excellent point about this film. Another thing that I really love is that the hotel itself that they're staying at, it feels just as much as a character as Jack does, or Wendy, or Danny. It feels very much alive and very hungry for the fear from our main characters. Another thing this movie touches on is the effects of alcoholism in a family, how it can break apart, the trust that a family can have. Overall, it's an excellent film. It's a true pillar of the horror genre, and although it's not my favorite, I certainly have developed a level of respect for this film. So Mike Flanagan is our director for Doctor Sleep, and he certainly is a household name for horror fans. He has a lengthy list of respected films and TV shows that he's created, a few being The Haunting of Hill House, Oculus, and Hush are both underrated horror films, and Gerald's Game I've heard is a really good adaptation of another Stephen King novel. It's no doubt that this man puts out good content. So this movie has a pretty good sized cast, but for the most part we spend a lot of our time with three characters. The first one being Ewan McGregor, who plays adult Danny Torrance, of course, Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Rose the Hat and is kind of the main villain of the film, and young Kylie Curran, who plays Abra Stone. Since the plot of Doctor Sleep is basically a 40-year time jump from the last events of The Shining, we pick back up with Danny Torrance, who has separated himself from his past and really from reality currently by abusing alcohol and drugs to try to forget all of the horrible things that have happened to him earlier in life. But he is forced to face these facts when a young girl by the name of Abra Stone is in danger from a group known as the True Knot, led by Rose the Hat. This group hunts down children who have the shine, which is just like what Danny had and what Abra has, and they feed off their fear, which is they call steam, by torturing them until death. Before I actually talk about this film, just as a small disclaimer, I actually haven't read either books, The Shining or Doctor Sleep, so I went into this movie knowing as little as possible, so maybe if you've read the book, you might have a slightly different opinion, so just letting you know. I actually rewatched The Shining about 2 hours before I went and saw Doctor Sleep, so The Shining was still very fresh on my mind, and I noticed that these films tell very different stories. The Shining is a very focused and small and claustrophobic film. It's about one family in one place for the most part, while Doctor Sleep takes similar concepts but expands it to a nationwide setting, and I thought that was a really neat way to handle a sequel. A lot of the camera work in this film is paying tribute to the way Kubrick done it back then. There's some shot-for-shot remakes, and there's even some similar angles that were used in similar situations between the two movies. So if you're a fan of that and you enjoy that nostalgia, you'll find that appealing, but I could see where some people might find that as kind of a cheap shot or expecting you to enjoy the film just because it looks like The Shining. I feel like once you remove all the nostalgic elements from this movie and you focus on what's new and what's in front of us, I think it's a good time. I really do. I personally feel like this movie is well acted. It's kind of a risky movie because a lot of the plot depends on young actors and young characters to move that plot along. And fortunately enough, this is a gamble that pays off. Basically, to summarize how I feel about this movie, I feel like it's an independent story that doesn't rely on something else to hold up or to be good. You don't need to love The Shining to love Doctor Sleep, and vice versa. That's the biggest compliment I can give this movie. And as for my personal opinion, it's nice to see a movie in 2019 that makes me appreciate a film that's almost 40 years old. And it's nice to be able to enjoy a sequel without destroying the original. That's going to wrap it up for me, guys. If you've seen Doctor Sleep, let me know down below what you thought about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and take care.